Where do you go when life is hard? What happens when there's a jerk in charge? How do you cope when problems are too large? You find your own crew. You keep pushing through. You find that there is more than just you. At the Inclusion Effect. The Inclusion Effect. Welcome to the Inclusion Effect.
I'm Anna, and I'm here to talk with guests and with all of you about disability advocacy, inclusion, and the ups and downs of navigating a world that isn't always built for the disability community. Today's guest here with me is a good friend, Marissa. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, why you're here?
Okay. So, my name's Marissa, and I have a little girl named Lavender and a little boy who's 7 named Arrow. So basically, my oldest is autistic, has ADHD, all that fun neurodivergent stuff. And then my youngest, who's 2, as we said, Lavender, she has a really rare disease called Ataxia Telangiectasia. It's better known as AT. Wearing the shirt.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just a really, really, I don't know how to describe it, like difficult disease to explain. But essentially it affects like the nervous system. So eventually she won't be able to walk. A lot of her like gross and fine motor skills will be severely impacted. It impacts the immune system. Cancer risk, they're like at a 30 to 40% chance of getting cancer before the age of 20. It's a lot. And yeah, the immunodeficiency, like Lavender, that's how we found out, is her immunodeficiency.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to tell us a little bit about how you found out?
oh gosh.
Yeah. I
know. So when Lavender was born, I mean, she seemed perfectly healthy and typical, whatever. Just like a really uneventful pregnancy. We actually like did genetic testing, like the carrier screening and IPT, all that fun stuff. And everything came back clear. The genetic counselor was like, "You guys are low risk for everything. You're good." Yeah, that was not accurate. But yeah, when she was 11 days old, I actually noticed her struggling with feeding, and she basically like got to birth weight and then like stopped gaining, and nobody was like really believing me, but they're like, "Okay, just come in." My midwife was just like, "Just come in, we'll weigh her." And basically when I got there, they weighed her and they realized, yeah, she was not gaining weight for like 6 days, which as a newborn, that's like not good.
Yeah.
But for like an older kid, obviously that wouldn't be as big a deal. So that's kind of when I think my midwife like realized, okay, maybe this is a little not right. But then I didn't know. Unbeknownst to me, she got a fax from newborn screening telling her that Lavender's newborn screening basically came back positive for severe combined immunodeficiency. If anyone's ever heard of the bubble boy, basically that's it.
Yeah.
It's the bubble boy disease. And so, yeah, it just, the little blood spot, you know?
Yeah. So when you have a newborn, I think this is in every state, not just Oregon, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They prick your baby's heel if you haven't had babies, and they get some blood from your baby, and they test for some really big, important things that we want to know. One that they were worried about with Addie that's on the test now is maple syrup urine disease, which has a very silly name, but it's a very serious disease. Yeah, we had to go see a geneticist about it, actually. She doesn't have it. But yeah, so go ahead.
Sorry, I remember hearing about that one too, and it's like common in like the Amish community.
Yes.
Sorry, not to backtrack, which is
it's very interesting.
Because I'm pretty sure maple syrup is known for like being within the Amish community, correct? Am I wrong?
I don't think so. That would make sense.
I'll shut up about that now. But yeah, no, like the newborn screening, and yeah, the SCID test specifically detects a thing called TREX, which are basically the T cells in a newborn's blood. So if they're really depleted, it'll come back up. It doesn't catch all immunodeficiencies, but if it's significant enough, it will pop up. So that was fun. She basically called us to a back room and was just like, I've never seen this before. Like, she's never seen the newborn screening go off for anything. And my typically very chill midwife, who like has like the best poker face out of anybody I know, did not have her poker face. She was worried. You could tell, because she was just like, this is not normal. Like, she didn't even know how to tell us. Like, she had to like basically call us to a back room like without telling us, because we were at a baby clinic. There was like people everywhere, like all in that room.
Yeah.
And she had to like come up to me and be like, you want to go to the back room? We can have some tea. And I was just like, okay. And in that moment, I was just like, okay, this is clearly about her weight.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's something going on with her weight for her to like get to her birth weight and then just stop growing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was not that. I mean, one of the first things she was just like, okay, like clearly your intuition is on point, because she was like, yes, first off, that's not normal. But secondly, yeah, newborn screening, she ended up contacting different doctors. We ended up, getting on with this immunologist at Dornbecker. They had to run a bunch of tests. They didn't know if she had SCID or not. And essentially, we were in isolation for like almost 2 months. Like, because she was, the day before she turned 2 months is when we got the genetic report back.
Yeah.
But we were isolated. Like, I had to get testing to see if I can even continue breastfeeding. They thought maybe I had a CMV infection and I can pass through breast milk. And yeah, they did genetic testing on her because they just didn't know what was going on. They can't treat something they don't know.
Yeah.
By the way, SCID is treatable. And
what they thought she had.
Mm-hmm. It would be a bone marrow transplant. So in our head, we were like, okay, we're going to get this back. And it was the worst news for us at that moment.
Of course.
But we had no idea.
Yeah.
And very shortly before we got the results back, we found out that we had carriers for AT in our family. And that's when like we started like looking into her blood results. And I remember telling the immunologist, like, when we told him like, we just found AT runs in our family. He was like, what?
And why don't you tell everybody the stats for AT, how rare it is?
Well, so there is some populations, they say it's 1 in 40,000, but mostly it's 1 in 100,000 to 1 in 300,000 births worldwide. Estimated there is about 500 in the US, North America.
Yeah.
And about 2,000 worldwide. So it's very rare.
It's very, very rare.
Very
Marissa
rare.
and I, if you guys are listening and not watching on YouTube, which go follow the Inclusion Effect on YouTube, but we are here in person. This is a rare in-person podcast. We live in the same area. And in Oregon, there's like 10, right?
Oh, less
than 10 AT kids.
God, from what I know,
just a
like
handful. Seven,
like,
yeah.
At most.
And Oregon's, it's a big state. It's not highly populated, but it's a big state. And we've got, a great children's hospital here. And there's 7 maybe kids with AT. Yeah. So
that I know of personally is, I know some people might not be like out there as much, but from what I've asked, and I've asked doctors, like, they were like, yeah, we only have a handful.
Yeah.
So yeah, very rare. Her immunologist did know about it, and I'll never forget, like, when he called us back, we actually found out through my chart, because me and Ben, like, and it was actually funny, like, it was one of like the best days mentally for me, because I was like starting to think, maybe it's not that, maybe I'm overthinking it. We actually like got Lavender dressed and like took pictures of her, like, and I'll like that.
You're getting into a more positive headspace.
I finally dressed her up. Oh. We took pictures out in the backyard. We actually like took Arrow on a walk, like, because we're like, okay, we can go on a walk.
Yes,
it was like a nice, beautiful, sunny, warm February day.
Just like today.
Yeah, we were driving back and our phones pinged, but we were kind of like in our own head. But Ben kind of like stopped for a moment and just like peeked over at what it was, and I'll never forget, he just like went completely stone faced. And I remember asking him like, what's wrong? And again, like, we've been researching so heavily, so he basically saw on the chart, it was just 2 pathogenic variants found in the ATM. He knew what the ATM gene was. So 2 pathogenic variants means you have AT.
Yeah.
It's recessive genetic disease.
So both parents have to have it.
He got the notification on his phone and he pulled over and looked at it. And
I was with the kids.
Yes, we had both kids in the back seat because we just went on that, like, we just went out with them.
And Arrow was 5. Or maybe 4 still. Okay, 5.
He was 5. And he knew, like, he couldn't go to school during this time. Like, it was a really rough time because it basically, like, stopped his whole world, too.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't take him to school. Like, we were basically told, like, isolate, don't be doing anything. So it was a really weird time. It was a really weird time. And yeah, he looked at it. He knew what it was. And I just remember him telling me, like, we'll go talk at home. And I knew that he got the answer. So I again, we're driving, like, and then he starts driving back because he kept telling me, he's like, don't look at it, just don't look at it. And I, of course, didn't listen to him. I was just like pulling up my phone, going to my chart, and I saw it too. Yeah.
Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized as a medical parent by checking my chart and finding out horrific news on a little ding notification.
I know. And this is before we got a call from anybody. We actually found out that our immunologist was, like, the one who ordered the test was in Hawaii. He was in Hawaii.
I'm so happy for him.
I know, right? And that probably
was
was
getting
his friggin' vacation too, to like have to tell family that news.
Yeah, of course.
And so yeah, I looked at it and I lost it. Like, I will never forget it. When you get news like that, it kind of feels like the room is spinning. Like, I always tell people, it's like it felt like the world had stopped and I didn't know how to process it. And the only thing we could do was just like cry. Like, I still struggle to like go in that area we were in. It was like off of, you know, like that whole area. Yeah, no, I still remember like where we were when it all happened, and the drive back, just the feeling of complete dread of like what the hell is our life gonna look like now.
And what did you guys know about AT at the time? Did you have an understanding yet?
I mean, yes.
Like a small understanding?
Once we realized there was a chance she could have AT, like, I was convinced. Like, I completely convinced myself. Ben was not convinced. He was in this, like, optimistic, like, it's probably SCID. Like, they thought she could have this thing called RAG1-2 SCID. It followed the pattern she had, which is also a DNA repair defect, by the way. Kind of weird. Basically, the T and B cells are affected, but the NK cells are normal. Anyways, so we knew, and I knew. I think I had this intuition deep in me. Like, once I realized what it could be, I was like, she has AT.
Yeah.
And that was the one day where I mentally tried to like take that thought away from myself. I was like, no, maybe it's not. Maybe he's correct. It was like one of the best days we'd had in isolation, crazy enough, until then. And soon after we got home, you know, we were a wreck. We were grieving really hard. And I remember Arrow was just so sad too. He didn't know, because he was just like, why? Like, what's going on? Like, why are you guys crying? Like, and I sometimes feel regret for that, because I'm like, I wish he didn't.
That is such an overwhelming grief that you can't shield your kids from that kind of grief, you know? So yeah, don't feel regret.
I think it's hard for me not to, because it's just, it was, it's so much for us to process, but for a kid, I don't know. And he knew there was something possibly, you know, going on with his sister. Obviously, he knew that. He knew why. We tried to explain the best we could, like, why we were isolated. And yeah, the immunologist called us, and he was just like, you guys got the news already, didn't you? And we were just like, yep. And he actually told us that when he was still going through schooling, one of the first diagnoses he made was a 5-year-old girl with AT.
5?
Yes, 5.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. And so he basically was just like, you know, this diagnosis has like a special place in my heart, and it's really hard. And it's hard when a doctor can't tell you much but sorry, because it's like there's nothing they could really do. It's like, we'll see you and we'll try to manage like the immunodeficiency, but it's like, I'm sorry, like, I knew this is like not the news you wanted to hear, because you know, there are a lot of immunodeficiencies, like, they can be somewhat handled and treated, but a disease like AT, no. And like, we acknowledged, it was actually Ben who like basically was like doing all the research at first, and was like, oh, this AT thing would be like the worst outcome. He was like, he straight up said when we were in that middle of that, he's like, oh, but that's so unlikely. It's like this like tiny little part on the chart of outcomes. Right. It was. So yeah, that is kind of where our journey began. You know, very shortly after that, we contacted the AT Children's Project, and they were so wonderful and there for us, and, you know, just guide us through so much and got us connected with so many people. The community is amazing. Like, the second you get the diagnosis, like, they're just like there for you. And it made us feel a lot less alone. But the next day we went to the coast, because it was like, finally we can be out of isolation. So I had to be careful, but like, they were like, you know, you're not under like strict
it's not what we thought it was. So
So I'll never forget that. It's just like, we were grieving so hard, but we just wanted the kids to enjoy life. I remember that morning we just woke up and we're like, we're just gonna go to the coast. we're just going to go in the car and we're going to go to the coast.
What can you do? Yeah.
And it's one of like my favorite memories, actually, even though it was like a really hard time. I remember Ben and I just like being able to like hold our baby in public, and it was like the first time we really got to do that. And so, you know, we spent like 2 months just feeling like so envious of everybody who had their like healthy babies going out and about, and we didn't have that. So it was just nice to be out.
Yeah.
But also felt like we were like holding this big secret. Like, you know, it's like, yeah, she's terminal. Like,
yeah.
obviously we're not going to tell people, random people that, but it was like we were out in public just like feeling so alien in the world now because it's like our life completely changed, but also like understanding that we needed to enjoy it as much as we could.
Yeah. It doesn't stop.
No,
Yeah.
it's still the same thing every day.
Yeah. So with so for everybody listening, this is coming out on Thursday. Rare Disease Day is Saturday the 28th. Which is why I'm talking to Marissa this week.
Mm-hmm.
And with AT specifically, the biggest issue is funding. So Marissa mentioned the AT Children's Project. It's ATCP Children's Project, on like their social media and their website and stuff. They're amazing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the world of AT, you know?
Well, I mean, they're always trying to do new research. Like, I mean, the biggest tool is gene therapy, right? Like, finding a gene therapy to fix the mutation in AT would help significantly. Again, it might not completely cure the kids, but it could possibly stop the disease in its tracks.
Yes. And that's a big thing, because the hard part about AT is that it gets worse as it gets more
progressive.
As Lavender, like right now, I know Lavender, Marissa's daughter, and her walking is getting a little bit wobblier, and like she's having to work harder than she did a year ago when maybe I knew her.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah. So people that don't know that might be like, why? You know, why does it matter? Why would we want to stop it?
Yes.
If we paused it where it is,
you know, she would still be disabled.
Yes.
Like, she would still need supports, but if we could stop it in its tracks. And of course, you know, there's also new, you know, God, science is going so far recently. There's even possible ideas that people, like some researchers have, about being able to fix neurons in the brain. So
science is crazy.
We don't know. I mean, technically they could in the future be able to fix that part too. But, you know, it could stop possibly the chance of her getting like cancer. It could possibly fix her immunodeficiency. And like the biggest killers in AT are related to the immunodeficiency, like the lung disease that comes from it. A lot of them get chronic lung disease. It's multi-system, so it just affects so much of their body. I feel like a lot of people, when they hear about AT, they're just like, oh, okay, ataxia, cancer, immunodeficiency. That's like the classic triad, is what you call it. But it affects so much more of the body than people even understand. And yeah, so like lung disease and cancer are the biggest killers in these kids. It's not the neurodegeneration, which neurodegeneration sucks, obviously. You know, a lot of her just daily living skills are going to be harder. She's going to need complete dependence on people for everything, which, you know, it's hard because it's like, I know she could be happy even if that were the case, but it's a lot of the other aspects that are even harder, I feel. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean,
no, you're doing a great job. It's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard. Met Marissa like maybe a little over a year ago now? Question mark. About.
It was Rare Disease Day, remember?
Oh shoot! It was literally a year ago, wasn't it?
It was literally a year ago.
Marissa posted on a local Facebook group, like a mom parenting group.
Yeah.
Just being sure. A mom group. I forget exactly what, but she posted her TikTok and about Rare Disease Day, and I was like, "Girl, we've got to follow each other." I love TikTok. I post a ton about disability parenting. I have a child who has a lot of diagnoses. Addie's a little complicated babe, and we met on TikTok, and then we ended up hitting it off and sending a billion voice notes to each other, and met up at a local like indoor play place because you know it's usually raining this time of year here, and I have been learning about AT for a year now, I guess exactly a year, which is crazy. Literally every time I talk to Marissa about it, I learn new things because there really is, like literally just today sitting in my living room drinking coffee, I learned something new about how it affects the mitochondria in a person, which is so interesting.
And the liver.
And the liver. Addie, my child has chronic liver issues stemming from liver failure when she was an infant, and we had never talked about that before. And we see each other all the time. Like, we talk, like, we have play dates with the kids, like, probably weekly, almost, when they're healthy.
Yes. And when it's not winter.
And when it's, not raining and gross out. And still I'm learning new stuff. So AT is incredibly complicated and incredibly complex. And like we mentioned, it progresses. So new things are developing as Lavender ages, and they're getting into new therapies. They're getting into new supports as things go on. So whereas with, like, for example, Down syndrome, it doesn't progress. Addie's born the way that she is. If this makes sense to people listening, excuse me. Addie's born with that extra chromosome. That doesn't fundamentally change in her body. Her health status changes. Things that happen with, like, her heart change, comorbidities associated with Down syndrome change. But the actual, what she has, her chromosomes do not change. And that's not the case for Lavender and other children who have AT.
Yeah, because there's just constant changes in their body.
Constant changes at, like, a cellular level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you've heard of, this might be, like, a little bit more in the zeitgeist, Sanfilippo's disease.
Oh yeah, that's the one a lot of people know about.
A lot of people know that one. There's a lot of very amazing advocates out there for Sanfilippo's, and it has a little bit more funding right now, which is great. But
and gene therapy.
Which is something that Marissa's talking about. Yes, exactly. That is something that's similar. So if that makes sense to anybody listening in their heads, I see a lot of people call that childhood dementia. And it's a progressive disease as well. As those children get older, it's different. Obviously, it's a different disease. But that's something you can compare to and kind of like have like a building block to like understand AT from, because it is very complicated, I think.
Yeah. No, I think I actually use Sanfilippo sometimes because it's a rare disease that has, is terminal when they're young, and it has progressive neurodegeneration. It's a little bit different on which part of the brain it affects, but it's still, in that realm of like neurodegenerative diseases.
They're parallel for sure.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Yeah.
And kind of where we're at with AT research, unfortunately, is that besides, there is an ASO that they're trying to work on at, I believe, St. Jude's and also Boston Children's. And it's great because there's some kids who are going there to possibly get an individualized genetic treatment for AT, but it only helps a small portion of kids with AT. But still, it's like, I think any kid who can get treated is like, please. But they're really trying to work on how could we correct it for all AT kids. So the thing with the ATM gene is it's huge. Like, I know we're getting into genetics here, but it's a huge gene. I don't know if anyone knows Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but they're doing a thing called exon skipping where they just basically patch up a certain part of the gene because it's so big. And instead of like typical traditional gene therapy where they insert a whole gene corrected, they're just patching up the exons. I know.
Science is
so
crazy.
Weird. And that's what they're trying to do with AT right now. They're trying to see if there's a way to patch up certain exons so that more kids can get treated. And that's kind of where like the funding goes to, right? Yeah. Certain people have different mutations, and basically like they could possibly fix certain mutations with exon skipping. So basically, like, think of it like a Band-Aid. Like, the kids get 2 mutations. So they have a mutation from each parent. And sometimes there's possibility that a certain mutation is better for, because if they have at least one working gene, that can make it'd be like being a carrier, basically. Like, she can handle having one mutation in the gene. But, like, if they can just put a Band-Aid basically over a mutation, or it can skip over it and read through and still create the protein. Because what kids with AT lack is called ATM protein. Essentially, it repairs double DNA strand breaks. And when they can't repair their DNA, it accumulates. That's why the cancer risk is so high. It gets even higher as they age. Like, when I say 30 to 40%, like, that's while they're younger. When they get older, it can increase exponentially, because basically they're living with broken DNA building up in their body. And if anyone knows about cancer, that's essentially what causes it, is broken DNA not being repaired. So yeah, fun stuff. It impacts the cerebellum, which is why they're so wobbly. Like, it's basically the part of the brain that controls coordination and movement. It's the back of our back of our brain,
Mhm.
like right up here. And yeah, that's like a lot of the cells die off in that part of the brain. So when they can't repair the DNA, it impacts so much things like you said, mitochondrial function, and the cells just can't handle the I believe it's called something stress. What is it called? Um Oxidative stress? Yeah. It causes oxidative stress in the cells. And then they could die off. And that's the Purkinje cells. Purkinje cells in the back of the brain are especially impacted by the DNA repair defect. Very, very long-winded.
Yeah.
It's a complicated thing.
It's a very, like we said, like 5 times we've already said, it's a very complicated
Yes.
disease. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been learning about it for a year and I'm still learning.
Yes.
It's vast. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's actually how you create immune system cells too, is the DNA breaks, the double DNA strand breaks, and then they repair themselves and they create the T cells. That's why Lavender's is so low, is her body just can't do it. It can't do it. So she's on like immunoglobulins, as you know, prophylactic antibiotics. Her immune system is pretty shot.
Yep. And something that I talk about a lot on social media and on the podcast is vaccinating and how important it is. Lavender cannot get vaccinations, right?
Yes. So she can't get live vaccinations.
Yes. Yeah.
She technically everybody really can get killed vaccines, but it depends on how your body responds to it. So essentially, Lavender was given like a handful when she was younger. They tested her,
Mhm.
and if she can, create immunoglobulins essentially from the vaccines. And yeah, she doesn't create enough for them to find
it's
it
not
worthwhile.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, so she gets the immunoglobulins. So that's another thing, is the immunoglobulins basically are protection,
Mhm.
but really, they're still vulnerable to so many different things. Like we could try, we can give her the flu shot, we can give her these things, but it's like really
It's not
hard.
productive. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she really relies on her herd immunity, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
She really does.
Yeah. We are very careful about, and it's totally different, but Addie is immunocompromised as well. Addie is vaccinated, but we make sure that whenever we're hanging out or doing anything, we make sure the kids don't have any sniffles.
Yes.
They're not sick at all.
Yes.
And this is why I post about how important vaccinations are, because there's lots of kids like Lavender. You might not know about it, but they're everywhere. There's lots of kids that cannot get vaccinated for XYZ reasons, and they rely on herd immunity. There's lots of kids who a little cold might be nothing for your kids, but it's everything for some kids. So,
for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even like the stomach bug, that's like one of the biggest things that hit her this past year.
Yeah.
And kind of caused a cascade of all the other fun stuff that has happened.
Yes.
But,
yeah. So why don't you tell me where you guys are at now?
God. Well, I mean, right now we're just living life, trying to figure out, how to handle her care. And at the end of October, she ended up getting a G-tube.
On Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in the hospital on Halloween. They made it fun. They came in with like little toys, like the bubble wand, like those like Disney bubble wands.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that is like a bougie toy. I remember like when I went to Disney with Ariel, I was like,
it's so expensive. Everything
no,
is
for real. But they really tried to make it special for her. But yeah, she got the G-tube for supplemental feeds because she really struggled with weight gain. That's one of the other things with AT is, usually at different ages, it's not like one size fit all. But a lot of kids do struggle with nutrition and like swallowing issues, and with Lavender, that was kind of apparent.
Yeah.
I think at like a little after 1, I noticed it, and then it just got too much. So yeah, that's been great. I mean, she gets overnight feeds. I think it's really helped with her growth. I mean, she's like shot up like a freaking sprout.
Oh yeah.
she chunked up, and then she just like, I'm gonna grow now. All of her doctors have seen her recently. They're like, oh my God, she's so tall now.
Yes.
Why is she so tall?
Yes. Anyone who's anyone who's struggled with their kid gaining weight, I know this has been a huge issue Addie's entire life. It is like always a fight, counting calories and trying to figure out what works best for formulas and like how to get those calories in their bodies and keep them in. It's so stressful. Like that is like how I spend some days, like 90% of my days, it feels like, are just spent trying to get food in Addie.
Yes.
Like, girl, gain some weight. So I know I know some people that listen to this are going to totally understand that feeling of like, oh, thank goodness. Like, she needs to grow. And so it's oh my gosh, such a good feeling when they finally grow.
It really is, because
Yes.
I think like a lot of people didn't see how, I don't know, how much it impacted her,
Mhm.
but it was during the summer that like it was becoming so significant of an issue, and we were spending all day trying to feed her.
Yes,
like you said.
literally. You would be, the whole time I would be over at her house or at the park or whatever, Marissa would be spending all of her time trying to feed her.
Just
Like,
trying to feed her.
between playing, like, take a bite, like, sit
Yes.
down and let's try to eat, because she was trying to get the calories in. So I know
Yes.
that the G-tube was a hard decision. We talked about it a ton for everybody
Yes.
listening, but, and it's a hard decision because making medical decisions for your child is hard. But, I don't know what the dog was doing. But yes, it's been a huge help, I know. And she also got AFOs recently.
Well, no, so she had the SMOs.
Dang it, I knew I said it
The funny thing is she did just recently, her PT, I know she talked to orthotics yesterday. She's been trying to contact them for like the past couple weeks, so I think she finally got a hold of them yesterday. But they are wanting her to possibly get hinged AFOs, or they might be looking into a different type. I forget the name, DAFOs or DAFOs. I don't know how they call it. They're considering two different new orthotics, but definitely she needs more than an SMO now.
Yeah,
she needs more support.
Yeah,
and yeah, basically she hyperextends her knees and just is always compensating for the wobbliness. So she has like a lot of muscle tightness in her calf.
I'll try to explain it for anybody listening. Because I'm not sure if I would have understood it before I met Lavender. And even back when I met her, it wasn't really, it was noticeable after I knew, but it wasn't, I don't think it'd be noticeable to strangers.
No,
but
not at that
point. It's progressed though. Lavender is just the cutest little thing. You guys will die. I'll post a video when I post this. And I posted the videos before of her and Addie playing because they're so sweet. But, well, Lavender's sweet. Addie's a brat.
I love Addie. She's the best.
Addie's got an attitude. Yes. But Lavender is steady still at this point. She stays on her feet, but she'll be, and if you're seeing the video, you can see me. She'll be wobbling as she's walking, standing, whatever she's doing. And like I think mom habit, I'm always like reaching my hand out, like worried she's gonna fall. And now she does. She didn't really used to. Yeah. Well, I mean, she did like a kid does, but like, like her wobbles didn't used to be bad enough that she would actually fall over, I feel like. Often.
People wouldn't comment about it.
Yeah, but it's getting more. It's getting more pronounced. Yes. And so she's wobbling like side to side, but like a lot. And it's like she's having to work really hard to keep herself upright. That's what the issue is really. Is that she's working so hard at it. Anytime a child or any kind of medical patient at all is working really hard at something, that means it needs to be fixed. Like working hard at eating needs to be fixed. Working hard at breath, you need to fix that. It shouldn't be labored breathing. Working hard at standing, we need to fix that. That's kind of like a good rule of thumb. That's what they're trying to work on right now. A lot of kids with AT end up, most kids I'd say actually probably, right, end up using a chair later on.
A wheelchair, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's most kids are in a wheelchair full time by the age of 10.
By the age of 10.
But I mean, when I say by the age of 10, right, I mean, yes, there are some who are in a wheelchair a little bit later, especially depending on the mutation. Like there are kids who have some ATM expression in the gene depending on what their mutations are. Lavender has, from what I've been told, null severe classic mutations, so kind of anywhere between like oh my goodness.
Let's turn it off.
But yeah, no, she has basically the like null mutations where she has no protein being made. Basically around the age of like probably 7 to 10 is when she will be requiring full-time wheelchair use. Yeah. Which, I think a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, well, they're like completely, like the disability isn't that bad until then. But like, it's like, no, like even at her age now, it's a struggle. Like we have to be on her all the time. She's had really bad falls to the point where she's like chipped teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you like look at her front teeth, like they're chipped. Yeah. She falls a lot. She's prone to just getting injured already. We actually already have an adaptive stroller. Yeah. And plan the next time we're able to go through seating clinic to get her a wheelchair. Because sometimes her body is just tired. Like it'll just give out. And yeah, she needs a lot of support, even at this age now. Yeah. And eventually full-time use in a wheelchair, like a power chair would be necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what does Arrow think of everything? I know Arrow is, you guys would die. He is the best big brother. He is so funny. My 5-year-old son he idolizes Arrow. 7, and he idolizes Arrow. It is so sweet. It is. And then they won't talk to each other when they hang out because they're both on the spectrum. It's getting better. It's getting better.
Is.
They are the sweetest together, and Arrow is such a good big brother. He will call Lavender his baby. I love it. I die every time. Go ahead.
My baby.
Yep, my baby.
He literally says he calls her his baby.
It's so sweet.
Like, don't touch my baby.
Or like if his mom will run to the bathroom at the park. This just happened a couple weeks ago, and I'm watching. Or no, you took Lavender with you, and he was like, "Where's my baby?" to me, and I was like, "She's with your mom. She'll be back."
I remember you telling me that. That was so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Go ahead. Anyways, I talked over you. Sorry.
No, you didn't. You're fine.
Yeah.
But no, like, it's hard with like the mobility stuff because that can be managed, and I think the harder part though is like it also impacts speech. So like the speech, the swallowing, it's like it affects the entire body.
You know what? I don't think that we told. I'm so sorry to cut you off.
No.
I don't think we said on the podcast what ataxia is.
Oh, we should talk about
And I'm
ataxia.
sure, like I said, I have a lot of medical and disability parent listeners. But why don't you just cover that real fast?
So ataxia, I think I mentioned like the cerebellum, but basically ataxia comes from the part of the brain that controls movement, the cerebellum, being impacted. So because these kids are losing the cells in that part of the brain, they're dying off. They're specifically called like Purkinje cells. They're also seen to die in like Parkinson's and some other diseases. So yeah, it impacts the part of the brain that controls coordination and movement. And so essentially, it doesn't just impact walking, you know, it's a lot more than walking. It's basically going to be hard for her to control any bodily movement. So reading, even eye movement, it's just so many little things that people take for granted and they don't really think about because she won't be able to control her eyes. It's called ocular motor apraxia, and it impacts fine motor skills, so like the ability to write, the ability to eat independently, the ability to swallow, the ability to, I don't know, just gross motor skill too, like just the ability to sit up, like posture. It's little things that people don't think about. Essentially, even just sitting is exhausting. From what I've heard, like adults with ataxia talk about, it's like imagine basically being on a really wobbly ship.
Yeah.
Like 24/7. You're just on a ship that's rocking really hard. It's like a stormy, and you're basically having to like figure out how to balance with that all day.
Yeah.
Every day. That's exhausting. And so basically the only reprieve a lot of people with ataxia have is laying down basically and resting their body, because even sitting is exhausting. And like just to hear that from people who live with the condition, it's really hard, because I can't even imagine just sitting is exhausting, because it's so hard to even just sit still. Like your body is like righting itself basically.
Yeah. And I just actually Googled this, if you're listening, not watching. I was curious while you're talking, because I talk about how hypotonia makes it really difficult for Addie to do things like sit. She has to work harder at things like sitting, like climbing up on our bed is kind of hard because it's a high one. She'll go up our end and stuff like that. And so I wanted to Google the if it's comparable, and it is, and it looks like that there's like some. Oh, it's not. I mean, it's totally different.
They have hypotonia typically too.
That's what I just was about to say. Yeah. So I just Googled it because I was curious, because I don't know if you and I have talked about it, but those are often coexisting with neurological issues like AT, and two, and and I was just curious if like people that have that have like said that it's similar in feeling. And as far as like the work effort, like the work of it, it is similar. I was just so curious. Yeah. So if you have hypotonia, which is low muscle tone, so it's not a neurological thing. Typically, it can be. But then it is similar, like your muscles are having to work really hard, and when it's ataxia, it's because of something in your brain, but it's still you having to work really hard at it. So both seem very exhausting.
Postural just instability is very common. Like I think you've seen Lavender, like totally. She can't really just like sit up without support, and so it just makes everything harder for her. It makes just everything has to be adapted to some degree, and we're working on that. You know, she's in occupational therapy, physical therapy. We've tried different orthotics. Like there's like a thing called a Spio. She hates it. it's basically like a compression.
Oh.
Because it makes her work her core.
Addie
And
has
she's
the compression
actually
vest.
so much
Addie
more
has two,
wobbly.
actually.
Yeah. She's more wobbly in it because then she's like, oh my God, I'm not used to compensating. Like I'm so used to compensating for this like hypotonia.
That she's like overcorrecting.
Yes. And then
totally.
she becomes more wobbly. So like we don't really use that much, but I know she probably should because, you know, she needs to put more work into her core to keep herself strong as long as possible. But yeah, it's just to know that that's what she's gonna have to go through and what she is going through every day. But it's her normal too. Like she doesn't know anything but like this like, you know, this life she has. I mean, this body that she has, and she is very resilient.
Such a little resilient badass.
Yeah, she is, and she just kind of copes and handles everything so well. And I think again, it's just like that's their normal. Like for us, it's like we can imagine living like that, but you know, a lot of these people just have to live with that daily and cope and manage, and
And something else that I think is I would like people to know that are listening to this is so Addie Down syndrome is an IDD, in intellectual developmental disability. Why don't we talk about that a little bit? Because I know you've had issues with we don't have to get into it, but with getting disability services for Lavender because it's not classified as an IDD.
Yeah, no. So Lavender goes to this thing. I think you told me Addie goes to it.
She does, yep.
Which I can get into these things. I don't fully believe all of this like neurodevelopmental clinic stuff. Like I don't think that they accurately, you know, I just don't think it's very accurate with the testing. But again, that's another story for another day.
Yeah, they tell us they do a bunch of testing. There's OT, PT, pediatrician, developmental pediatrician. And then at the end of this big, long, huge appointment every 6 months, they give us a developmental age. And it's always depressing, and it's always a gut punch. And they told me Addie is about developmentally 24 months, which is like fine. I don't care what she is developmentally. I don't know that it's accurate.
I don't think it is, because then like Lavender and her are supposed to be this developmentally the same age, but then you see them, and I'm sorry, like Lavender's clearly a 2-year-old, and Addie is clearly an almost 4-year-old.
Yes.
And all of her antics and everything she does, she's so.
She is so like, smart and chaotic.
I know we're like going off rant here. But
I know, but it's okay.
Yeah. So no, like technically when they do Lavender's testing, motor skills are pretty significantly behind. But because she falls into like the normal
range,
range of like, or the average, I think is what you would call it, range cognitive wise, they basically won't give her services. They won't give her a global developmental delay. So it's really hard to get services for her. Like my son, he's autistic, and we're able to get DDS services for him.
And DDS is disability, developmental disability services. We get it for Addie. It's not like money. I know people always like think that. They support you having like a service worker to help with things, and they like help with anything that you need like to adapt that costs money. They're helping us, like for example, build a fence in our front yard because Addie loves to elope and bolt at the road any chance she can. Things like that. So they help you with things that help adapt for your child. And we're struggling. Marissa and her husband Ben are struggling to get that for Lavender because cognitively she's testing in average ranges for her age, which is so incredibly interesting and also convoluted.
Well, because here's the thing, Arrow is not technically, he doesn't have an intellectual disability either. So for me, I remember like being like, he doesn't, like I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot, like when they were doing that like meeting, but I'm like, she has way more meat and more needs than he does. But yet I'm getting services for him, which again, I do think they both deserve services, but it's like, why is my more medically complex, needy kid who is partially G-tube fed and has way more support needs and medical needs not getting supportive services? I can go on a whole rant about that.
It's really odd. It's really, really odd.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that differs state to state. I just thought that would be interesting to point out.
Yeah. No, I've heard of other families. Like there's another family in California who has been struggling because I don't think they're on Medicaid. I don't want to like speak for their whole situation, but I remember her posting and even talking to her about this, about how she couldn't get disability services because she really needs an adaptive stroller. Her daughter is going to be 5 soon. And she hasn't been able to get, you know, basically insurance or any sort of support for her to get an adaptive stroller. And she's like losing some of that like how do I say this? Endurance during the day. So she needs
something
supported
extra.
seating.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's struggling to get services because her daughter also doesn't qualify based on cognitive levels. And it's like seems to be a very common problem until they're a little bit older and able to like basically prove they have like a lot of needs. Like it's really difficult. And there was another family I also spoke to out here who wasn't able to get her daughter on DDS services until she was older. And they were able to prove there was some cognitive impact on like working memory. So it's really complicated, and they basically
shameful.
It is shameful.
It is.
It's like how are these children who are very complex medically and
already
also
fighting something so rare, so difficult, and so underfunded, and then they also cannot get state assistance just to have support as a family.
Exactly.
It's shameful.
Because it's not on the pre-approved list either.
Yeah.
And so, we're trying to figure out if we can get her global developmental delay somehow. Because, like, some people are, like, telling me, how is she not considered globally developmentally delayed? And I can't explain to anyone.
You're like, I would love to know.
I'm like, please. But basically, like, DDS called me after her neurodevelopmental clinic, and they were like, oh, we saw her results, so she won't qualify, and you can't reapply for a year. And I'm like, what? Yeah, they're like, yeah, you can't reapply. And so right now, actually, Arrow's DDS service worker is trying to see how we could bring it to a state level. So that'll be interesting.
Fingers crossed. If anybody listening has any ideas, we do have a friend that works at DDS, but so far we've been unsuccessful. Yeah. So that's just another interesting thing I thought I would point out. Something that I like to talk about a lot, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's totally okay. You tell me, is the grief process that I've gone on with my kids. Do you feel comfortable touching on that at all?
I think with AT,
totally up to you.
Yeah, no. I think we've talked a lot about how this is an important subject.
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents of medically complex kids in general, but like especially like rare disease parents, like where they know there's like, how do I say it? I don't want to say it at a point. But
it's anticipatory grief.
Yeah, it is.
You're anticipating.
Yes, because I mean, we're basically on a clock with this disease, and like a lot of diseases are like that, unfortunately. And basically, the life expectancy for people with AT, with classic AT, mind you, is about teens to early 20s. So that's basically her life expectancy. Like she would basically be lucky to go past her early 20s. And a lot of people don't make it past that. So, yeah, we're on a time crunch and don't know how to process it some days because it's just like, I don't know how long I'm going to have her because I've seen people lose their kids at 2, at 6, at 10, 11, 12. I mean, like, I think when people hear life expectancy, it's like, no, I mean, there's like a lot of people who die younger. There's people who die a bit older, but really there's just an imaginary clock in the back of our minds all the time. We're like, we don't know when anything's going to hit. We don't know if she's going to get cancer. We don't know if an illness will be so bad that she can't survive it. Like, so we're basically always wondering when the ball's going to drop, basically, because we don't know. And with diseases like AT, you just never know. You never know if something terrible is going to happen. And so I think, I live in this state of anticipatory grief. Yeah. Where it's like you want to remain hopeful. Mm-hmm. You want to be like, okay, maybe something will happen. Maybe we'll have a lot longer with her than we anticipate, but it's still just always in the back of your head of when is the ball going to drop?
Yeah.
And when is it going to be us that has to deal with it? And I've had to witness, like I've seen a lot of kids pass, especially over the past, even just the past 2 years. I've been in this community, just some amazing families and amazing kids who, just didn't make it. Yeah.
So what specifically does the AT community need?
Funding.
Money.
I mean, It's like, what else?
It's just what it is.
With diseases as rare as AT, it's considered an orphan disease for a reason. It's basically like there's just no funding for it. There's not enough people affected by it. So the communities around these people have to just rally and make the money for the funding, basically.
Yes.
So they have to put forth that. And so organizations like the AT Children's Project, if you go to atcp.org, you can kind of read all about them and their mission. There's also other places like the AT Society in the UK and like I think Action for AT in Europe in general. There's like a few organizations, but they're all combining forces basically and putting in the effort to find a cure. And treatments. Treatments are also really important. So clinical trials are happening all the time. There's actually one that's like looking really promising. I think about like the neurological symptoms. I do not want to butcher the name of this drug because it is not easy for me to say. I think it's like shortened to NALL. So if anyone's interested, you probably could easily like look up AT clinical trial.
Mhm.
And it was actually really successful in its third phase. So fingers crossed that's a treatment that could be available. But of course it's not a cure. It's not like gonna fix the gene problem, but it's a stepping stone to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because an FDA approved treatment is a big deal. And so yeah, I mean, the AT Children's Project is just amazing though. They are working with so many different amazing researchers who are trying really hard to find a gene therapy right now and other therapies. So
yeah. So anybody that's seeing this on social media, if I share it or listening to it, basically search up ATCP, search up Marissa's account. We'll give you her social media here in a few minutes. And I'll have it in the show notes as well. Share anything about AT that you can. If you happen to, I know the economy is so hard right now, but if you have an extra $5, like go donate it to ATCP.
Yeah, atcp.org.
Yep.
And if you go on my social media, I usually have the link for to donate.
Actually, I'll put ATCP and that link in the show notes. How about that? That's a good idea. And then, yes, sharing and money. That's what they need. They need attention and money.
Yes, and I hate asking. Like, honestly, it's like the biggest thing. Like, becoming, like, I am just somebody who struggles so much to ask for support. But when you have a kid with a rare disease like AT, especially
it's all about
ultra
money.
rare disease,
it is.
Because it's an ultra rare disease. Like, it is very rare. And that's just that's what we have to do. We have to fight for funding. We have to fight for research. We have to fight for it to become more known. So again, not many people know about AT. So
no.
I just feel like that's been my like life's mission ever since her diagnosis is just people need to know about AT, what it does to these kids. And there needs to be something. Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And Rare Disease Day is this Saturday. Like I said, what can people do for that?
I mean, advocate, show up for people, you know, if you know any events. I actually know one event in Oakdale, California. One of the other AT families is doing, it's basically like Charlotte's Cure dinner. I don't know if they have. I'm like shouting this out. And they might not even have any more availability. So I might just need to like
still go look. It's fine.
But yes. But I mean, if anyone's in that area, they also do it every year around this time. Okay. But it's going to be on Rare Disease Day. Just like looking up about ways you can advocate, like sharing their stories. I mean, just going to any of these, like look up Ataxia Telangiectasia on like Instagram, TikTok, and share these families' stories. I know there will be videos and posts made on Rare Disease Day. So like just showing up for, and not just AT, but like any rare disease. You know, go that day and talk about these rare diseases that need attention. And share, donate if you can, encourage others to do the same. That's really like the best thing you can do. Yeah. Also, wear jeans for, you know, like that's how you advocate like for jeans, like wear jeans.
Cute.
So
okay, love it.
People usually wear jeans.
Makes sense.
Or, you know, like shirt.
Yes, I am wearing an AT shirt as well. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And I'll ask one last question. What is your favorite thing about Lavender? I know.
There's so many.
I know.
How do I
pick?
pick? She is the cutest little. Oh my gosh, she's like a ray of light. I think anywhere we bring her, she's just so happy, and that's like my favorite thing about her. It's just like the joy she brings everywhere.
She's
Like
so
the
happy.
other day, I took her to go listen to her dad playing music, and oh my god, I just told you we're gonna do that tonight again. I'm so excited. She gets down. Like anytime she hears her dad, like the Irish music, she's just like, she literally, I have a video of her with like her, I need to post this on Marissa today in the video, but like she just like had her hands on her hips and she was like walking around because she was copying somebody who was doing like an Irish dance, like had like their hands, and she was literally walking around with like hands on hips, just like moving like around, like, oh my god.
She's so funny.
Makes everybody laugh, like, and just smile. Like she's just such a little light. She's a little light. That's how I could describe her.
She is. She is such a little
favorite
ray of light. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay. And Marissa, where can everybody find you?
So basically, we're the Lavender Path on all social media. If you go on Facebook, the Lavender Path, nothing funny, fancy in there. Instagram, it's the lavender_path, and then TikTok, the lavender.path. It's so obnoxious. I wish it was the same across all platforms, but I think you could find me basically on anything if you just look up the Lavender Path.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yes.
And I'll make sure it's in the show notes as well. ATCP is also what we wanted to shout out. And if you've made it this far, please go follow Marissa. Please go follow the Lavender Path. Please go follow ATCP and share their mission. And you can go ahead and if you have time after all that, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at The Inclusion Effect. Leave me 5 stars, share this podcast, and thank you so much to everyone for hanging out and helping me build this community of passionate advocates. Happy Rare Disease Day. Happy almost Rare Disease Day. Thank you.